Today we're going to construct the orthocenter of a triangle. Now the orthocenter is the point where the three altitudes intersect each other. So we need to draw altitudes. And an altitude is a perpendicular line that goes through a vertex. It's going to look something like that for the first one. Now a perpendicular line going through the vertex. You essentially ignore the left and the right side of the triangle. Just focus on the bottom and the vertex at the top. Now the construction itself is the same construction as a perpendicular line through a given point. Now on that construction, you start by putting your compass on the point. Well, we have the line and the vertex. The vertex is going to act as the point. So you put the center of your compass on the vertex, and you need to draw an arc that crosses the bottom line, the bottom side of your triangle, twice. So it's got to be big enough that it's going to cross both sides. I'm going to pick 70. It crosses here, and it crosses here. 2 points. Now those 2 points are going to become the center for the compass placements. Place the center of the compass at the first point and draw an arc. The choice for your arc has to be at least halfway the distance between the 2 points. So I'm going to pick 40. And you draw a little bit of the arc at the top, a little bit of the arc at the bottom. Now don't forget the number that you used. Write it down so you don't forget. Now move the center of the compass to the other point and use the same number that you just used. So I'm going to use 40 again. And draw an arc so they cross. Now, the 2 places where your arcs cross are going to become the points when you draw your line. Now, altitudes typically are only displayed from the vertex to the side of the triangle. At that point in time, you should mark it 90 degrees so that you know it's an altitude. Now, do not put congruency marks because altitudes don't necessarily go through the midpoint of the line segment. Here it's pretty obvious that this left piece is much shorter than the right piece, so it's not in the midpoint. It does not go through the midpoint. Just put the 90-degree angle mark. Now we're going to repeat it again, 2 more times for each of the other 2 vertices, and it becomes a little tricky. You're welcome to rotate your picture if you'd like, but let's work from the vertex on the right. Now the altitude from the vertex on the right should head about in that direction. So it's going to come to this side over here. So we put the center on the vertex on the right, and you need to draw an arc that crosses the side twice over here. For me, I'm going to use 90. But the problem is that the triangle, the side is actually a little too short. So if it's too short, just line up your straight edge and make it a little bit longer. Now it doesn't actually change the triangle. It just makes a straight line so that we can make our point where it would cross if the side was a little bit longer. Now where the arc crosses that line gives us 2 new points, and those become the center for the compass. Now the number you use doesn't have to be the number you used before. It might be different. It has to be a number that's at least half the distance. So I'm going to use 50. Make an arc at the bottom, make an arc at the top. Now spin the compass around and put the center at the other end point. And use the same number to make an arc at the top and make an arc at the bottom. Those 2 points where your arcs cross gives you the straight line. Now be careful because we actually want to connect it to the vertex. So line up the bottom point, the middle point, and the vertex all together. Be sure to stop at the edge of the triangle and mark it 90 degrees. Now there's still one more altitude. We've started by putting the compass up here at the top vertex. Then we put the compass at the right vertex. Now we need to put the compass at the left vertex. We're going to be making an altitude that goes about like this, toward the side over here. So you put the center on the bottom left vertex, and you need to draw an arc that's going to cross the side over here. I'm going to use 80. Again, the side of the triangle is too short, so you might have to make the side longer. If you're lucky, this is a step that's not needed. But quite frequently, you do need to make the side a little bit longer. Now the 2 points where the arc crosses that line become your new points for the center of the compass. Put the center on 1 point. Now the number, I started with 40, then I picked 50. This one looks like it could repeat again. So I'm going to use 50 again on this one. You draw your arc at the top, you spin it around, and you do the same number at the bottom. Now please mark that number so you remember what it was. Spin your compass around the other direction and put the center on the other point. Use the same number you just used to get where your arcs cross. Now where the arcs cross, you line up with the straight edge, and it should go to the vertex of your triangle. Don't forget, since it's an altitude, it needs to be marked 90 degrees. Now these are the 3 altitudes of the triangle. But the reason for finding 3 altitudes is to find the orthocenter. If you've done it correctly, all 3 lines should cross at 1 point. Put a point at that spot and label it appropriately to show that it's the orthocenter. This might be actually writing the word orthocenter next to it, or providing the letter next to it that the teacher has told you in the directions. So here, it was a triangle. We found 3 altitudes. You know they're altitudes because they're marked 90 degrees. And the place where all 3 of those intersect each other is called the orthocenter.